None Dare Call It Ordinary, the podcast that digs into the unusual, the unorthodox, and the downright unsettling beliefs found at the depths of the internet and the heights of paranoia. I'm your host, Dylan, and with me is the hirsute and hagiographic Brent.
What the hell?
Hagiographic.
What is that?
That is, I think it's like a biography that's like way false.
Oh, okay.
Or way over-exaggerated, I think.
Perfect.
It might be like exaggerated in a positive way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But either way, that's what you are.
Thank you.
And also a shout out to @Cinco2103 for correctly guessing the first adjective, hirsute.
Nice.
Which is true. You're very hairy.
I know that image looks almost just like me. I thought I was like, oh.
It's spitting image. Is Brent a time traveler of some sort?
Yep. Just a big ball of hair, basically. It's basically just turning into Chewbacca is what's happening.
That's got to be our next episode, is your adventures in time travel. Talk about unsettling.
That's right. So, anyway, what is our holiday today? It was something else, and now we have moved the recording back a couple days, so that's not it.
Had to move it. So today, I believe it's Cheese Sacrifice Day.
Oh, that was sad.
Yeah, we got to sacrifice the cheese, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that meant, like, you don't eat cheese, which I guess you don't. It's not that.
Yeah, no, you got to sacrifice it for it seems kind of underhanded. The purpose is to kill mice because you have to sacrifice the cheese to a mousetrap.
Oh, okay.
Because I initially thought maybe there's some kind of cow god that you have to sacrifice the cheese to, and there's some kind of ritualistic ceremony.
Right.
You know, you carve a block of cheese into the likeness of your enemy, and then you sacrifice that in a big old ceremony. But no, it's not very complicated. You just put it in a mousetrap. That's easy. Anyone could do that.
It's like better named. It would be Mice Murder Day, maybe. Or something like that.
Mice Murder Day. Poor mice are getting left out of their own holiday. It's disturbing.
So, yeah. So what are we really talking about today, though, actually?
So today we're wrapping up our crystal healing. This is a bit of an epilogue on the crystal healing episodes. Mm-hmm. We felt we couldn't do an episodes on crystals without touching on the crystal skulls. Yeah. Perhaps the most metal part of the crystal saga. There's a bunch of these things, and we're going to talk about them all. And so we decided to do a bit of a shorter episode, highlighting, what the crystal skulls are, what kind of powers they have, and specifically the most famous crystal skull, the Skull of Doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Exciting.
So what is a crystal skull?
I don't know. What is a crystal skull, Brent?
It's a great question.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. A crystal skull is a chunk of crystal, such as like a quartz, that's carved into the shape of a human skull. So right off the bat, it's got to be human.
Oh, human skull, no anteaters?
No anteater skulls.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yep. No sloth skulls, none of that. So anyway, that's it. We're done. That's it.
It was really, that's a mini-sode right there.
Extreme mini, yeah. The old 5-minute episodes. Just kidding. Of course, we can't just leave it here, right?
Yeah, I mean, we should leave it there, but you people probably wouldn't want that, so I guess we'll do a whole rest of the episode on this stuff.
So some stone skulls are genuine artifacts from the Mesoamerican cultures, for example, the Aztecs, which are called death heads or skull masks, but the majority of crystal skulls are hoaxes. I'm just going to spoiler alert right off the bat. Just ruined.
And it's sad because the actual thing, the death head or skull masks, they're really cool and they sound really cool. So I don't know why we have to go along with these hoaxes.
I know. Some people believe that these skulls were crafted by ancient people such as the Mayans under the direction of Atlanteans and / or aliens.
Yeah, you got to get the "and" in there. It definitely,
and or.
Yeah, we don't want to split the audience right off the bat into the "and" category where it's like clearly the Atlanteans were aliens, and the "or" category where no, they helped the Atlanteans and the Lemurians. So we don't want to be divisive.
That's true. Yeah, we want to be all inclusive here in our podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So, of course, today replicas of these crystal skulls are made in all sorts of forms, varieties, and shapes and sizes across the world in various New Age shops. Keep that in mind as I say this next sentence, okay? Here we go. Nick Nocerino, Founder of the Society of Crystal Skulls International. That's right. It is global.
It's global, and it's
global.
it's not the Society for the Study of Crystal Skulls. No. It's the Society of Crystal Skulls. They're talking to each other.
Yes. So he says that these crystal skulls found at these ancient sites are extremely unique and impossible to duplicate. So keep that in mind. What I said earlier.
So they're impossible to duplicate. That doesn't mean they're impossible to replicate.
That's
true.
That's true.
I think we gotta, keep those two things separate.
That's a good point. You also know you can trust the scientific methodology used in the Society of Crystal Skulls International while researching these because they use remote viewing, psychometry, and scrying, which we learned about scrying last podcast, which is like looking into a crystal ball.
Yes, exactly. And psychometry is learning about folks by touching inanimate objects. And no, I didn't have to look that up.
Nice.
I come to this podcast with quite a bank of information on the occult, and it's truly amazing and astounding. I scribe the information.
Nice. So we'll move on to the famous crystal skulls. So Max, that's the Texas crystal skull.
That's a good name.
Yeah, just Max.
Yeah.
Held by the Parks of Houston, Texas.
When I initially was doing this research, I thought it was like the Parks Department of Houston, Texas, but no, it's somebody named Joanne Parks. So I felt mega dumb after that.
That's fine. She married Bill Recreations, so her last name changed recently. Okay,
the first Parks and Recreations Department.
So it was given to her by a Tibetan-trained healer when he died, and he received the crystal from the local people in Guatemala. Received it or stole it carefully by replacing it with a bag of sand, so not to trigger the giant rolling boulder, right?
No, I think he received it.
You're probably right.
I'm not sure why.
I saw a documentary about it.
So he's a Tibetan-trained healer, and he got it from Guatemalans? I guess there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's just
so many questions.
Yeah, because you want to make these things legit. And so Tibetan healer, like automatically, that's prestige there. Yeah. That's legitimacy.
Yeah, that's the top.
But then he's getting it from the Guatemalans, so it's like a confused.
Yeah.
It's like, why should I care about Max? It's hard. It's like I'm getting mixed signals here.
So here's another one: the British crystal skull.
I bet it had a monocle.
Yep, I'm sure. I'm sure it did. This is at the British Museum since 1898. So
and that's the name of it. It's the British Museum.
The British
That's how
Museum.
Up their ass they are. The British Museum.
So found or bought by a soldier of fortune in Mexico in the 1890s, which is my favorite type of soldier, personally.
Yeah, and that was before Soldier of Fortune magazine was popular, and it wasn't easy to be a soldier of fortune.
That's true. Different times. A study by the British Museum showed rotary wheels were used in its construction. I'm assuming crystal rotary wheels, but that's a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, you never know. So, but rotary cutting wheels were not introduced to stone workshops in Mexico until after the Spanish conquest of Mexico in 1521. The skulls, therefore, cannot be of Aztec manufacture.
And I just love, because this is from an article by the British Museum, and I love how even-handed this is. It's like, because my reaction to the claim that this was, made by Aztec shamans or whatever is, like, no fucking duh. Like, I'm not gonna, the only evidence of that is from some moron's Angel Fire website. But the British Museum, they took the high road here. Yep. Like, if you look at the evidence of the presence of the rotary wheels, it must have been made much later. And, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's good on them.
Yep. That's a classic British Museum.
Classic British Museum.
So the next one is the Paris crystal skull. I think people need to, there needs to be some creativity in the naming of these. I'm finding these to be very boring.
Yeah, we started with Max, which was fun, and now it's
British,
where is it right now? Well, that's the name of it. That's all. That's as far as we're going.
Yeah, exactly. So Trocadero Museum in Paris, found by another soldier of fortune. God, there's so many in Mexico in the 1890s.
In the same.
What a deal.
What are all these soldiers of fortune doing in Mexico in the 1890s?
God.
Doesn't anyone else in the world need mercenaries?
No, seriously. Must have been a mercenaries shortage at the time. Sad days.
Oh, I would think it was a mercenary glut. Like, there's so many, they could just be everywhere. And so they all have to, there's plenty in Mexico. There's plenty everywhere.
Right.
Flooding the market with mercenaries.
Yep. The next one is called the Amethyst Crystal Skull.
I wonder what it's made out of.
Good question. We'll find out, I'm sure. Discovered by a Mayan brotherhood in the early 20th century in a Mayan cache of artifacts in Mexico. I don't know about you, Dylan, but I prefer the Mayan Brotherhood over the Muslim Brotherhood. That's just a personal preference.
I don't
But
know.
I'm not sure.
I've never considered that. The one problem, though, is they're both trying to eliminate the Constitution, replace it with Mayan law.
That's right. Maybe it's in Texas right now and for sale? I don't know. It's probably way overpriced, too. Not sure what the going rate for the amethyst crystal skull is these days, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I remember it was kind of all the other ones. It was fairly clear where they were and, who had control over them. And this one, yeah, they were just like, maybe it's in Texas. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I thought that one slipped through the cracks.
And what's great is that this whole list comes from someone who we're going to become very familiar with, whose name is, I believe, Joshua Illinois Shapiro.
I wonder where he's from.
Yeah, I wonder where he's from, and why do people call him that? It's like, my name is Dylan Nevada Johnson. Like, no one's calling me
down.
that.
We know you're from Nevada. Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what's funny, so this guy wrote this terrible Angel Fire website, as is the norm, it seems, in the Crystal Skull world.
It's a horrible website.
And under his list for the Amethyst Crystal Skull, there's an editor's note that says that this is the first skull he actually experienced in person, which is cool. But I didn't understand why he needed an editor's note. It's his website. He wrote the whole damn thing. But I guess he thought it was more professional sounding if he included, an editor's note.
Yes, he is the editor as well.
I guess he wrote with his right hand and edited with his left hand. I really don't know how that works.
So the next one is the Mayan crystal skull. This is found in Guatemala in 1912.
This is a big crystal skull area, is Guatemala.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like everywhere over there. So whereabouts unknown.
Oh,
I don't know why this skull gets to be called the Mayan the Mayan skull when the amethyst skull was also found, by the Mayan Brotherhood of the traveling pants. What?
Man, deep cut.
I had to.
Wow.
I had to say
who knows? Yeah, the amethyst skull must be, a little jealous, I imagine, or envious of the Mayan skull. Yep. I guess they didn't have anything else to call it. It was so boring. It's like, well, just the Mayan crystal skull, whatever. That's fine.
That's fine. We'll use it. So, Nick Nocerino, the aforementioned author of Mysteries of the Crystal Skulls Revealed, claims that he met with a shaman in 1949 during his travels in Mexico who guided him to a Mayan priest that said he was authorized to sell some crystal skulls called the Mayan skull and the amethyst skull because the village needed the money for food. However, Nick didn't purchase these. Apparently he didn't care if these village people died of hunger or whatever.
No.
But instead,
cheapskate.
But instead, he studied them, in quotes, scientifically. He claimed to find some starting things, such as its true origin as cloaked in mystery.
Yeah, when you lie so much about where something comes from, I'm not surprised the truth is cloaked in mystery.
Yeah.
And also, studying it scientifically means I think he looked at it while wearing a stethoscope. I think that's what scientific study amounts to in this
or like
case.
A lab coat or something.
Yeah, probably both. And a clipboard.
Yep.
He's definitely not shelling out money. That's definitely not part of studying something scientifically. It's got to be free.
Exactly. So I'll just mention a few other ones that there's not a lot of information one. There's the E.T. Crystal Skull, phone home, Peruvian, and Smithsonian, which the Smithsonian one, there's a little information here. It says the British Museum analysis showed the skull contained the 20th century synthetic abrasive silicon carbide, and they hypothesized the skull was made shortly before it was purchased in Mexico in 1960.
So maybe not made by the Aztecs then.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I don't think they were doing a whole lot in 1960.
That's true.
Not forming any psychedelic bands or anything like that, or dropping acid and Haight-Ashbury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Skull of Doom, which we'll obviously go into later, because you can't just drop that.
We're going into it later.
Yeah. Yep. Many Scullies think there were 13 in total.
I think that was my innovation. I think
that.
of them as Scullies.
I like that, Scullies.
The crystal skull theorists.
They all wear skull caps, obviously. The little beanie.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Really into the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
That's their favorite holiday.
Like 2 into it.
Yeah, 2 into it. Yeah.
The mysterious...
A bit of the cultural appropriation, if I do say so myself.
Yep. Good for you.
Yeah, good for me.
The mysterious magical 13 crystal skulls are something that comes up in the whole ending of the Mayan calendar of December 21st, 2012, and in New Age mythology revolving around ancient Atlantis. I said ancient Atlantis, not ancient aliens. So let's not get crazy here, guys.
That's good. Again, we don't want to be divisive.
Yeah, exactly.
We accept all views on this about the Atlantis alien relationship. And yeah, this was something we're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but I couldn't get a good sense of why, I'm not sure if there was some previous reason that the Scullys think there's 13.
Yeah.
Or if they were like, oh, well, the Mayan stuff gives us this number, and so we're just going to say that there's 13 of them. I couldn't really find a reason to think that, because the list that we talked about, which was the biggest list I could find, there's not 13 on there. So
yeah.
There must be some that are missing. I don't know why the Scullys think there's 13.
I don't know either. So the date came and went and not... Okay, so we're talking about 2012 here, right? So December 21st, 2012. That date came and went, and not only do I have a tattoo on my arm left to remind me of it, I also have to assume that some brave soul collected all 13 of these crystal skulls because nothing major happened. That didn't happen until November 8th, 2016. Oh!
Yeah, the Mayans were slightly off on the calendar.
They were a little off. Not by much.
What is your Mayan calendar tattoo? I don't remember that one.
It's not a Mayan calendar. It's just Quetzalcoatl, okay? It's I got it. I got it obviously before 2012. I was into this stuff way back. I read a lot of Zachariah Sitchin and stuff, and I remember being fascinated by this Mayan stuff briefly, and I thought, oh, that's a cool looking, and it was on the image of one of the books, I think, and it was oh, that's a cool looking thing, so I'll put that on my arm forever.
Hey, again, the key is as long as it's cool looking. I mean,
that's kind of cool looking, yeah.
That's really what matters. And now this is the kind of expertise you're bringing. Oop.
That's right. I brought it first with the Revelations episode, and now that was kind of the path. It was, biblical from that to ancient aliens to, well, here we are, to talking about it all on a podcast.
Everything. Me, on the other hand, I know nothing. So this is all on
new.
The seat of my pants. Yeah.
So okay, that's great. There's a bunch of them. We don't know how there's 13, but there is no, they're just crystal skulls. There's
definitely 13 of them.
There's definitely 13, even though we don't know how exactly.
Yeah. So what makes them so fancy? What can these crystal skulls do?
Well, exactly. What can they do? It's magical powers. Here they are. So, as Dylan mentioned earlier, Josh Illinois Shapiro, he's a co-author of Mysteries.
You're from Illinois, right?
No, I kind of feel offended that he got to be called Illinois
Brent
before I was.
Illinois Johnson.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call you from now on.
Yep.
That's my fake last name for everybody is Johnson.
Johnson.
Brent Illinois Johnson.
So he's the co-author of the book Mysteries of the Crystal Skulls Revealed, and he has some ideas as to what the crystal skulls are all about.
We're revealing the mystery, right, which seems like it's not answering the mystery. It's just here's the mystery.
Yeah, here it is.
It's revealing the mystery. The mystery was clouded in secrecy.
Yes, the mystery had a mystery around it.
Yeah, that's tricky.
Yep, cloaks around cloaks. So he says they could be computers that record energy and vibration that occur around them. Otherwise known as eye skulls.
Oh.
But,
patent pending.
Yeah. Yep. So they pictorially display events or images of the people who come in contact with them. They are even networked and can share information amongst themselves, just like the internet.
That's got to be real boring for a lot of these. So, I imagine the Skull of Doom talking to Max. And the Doom's like, so Max, any new info? And Max is just like, nope, I'm still in this fucking box. Yeah, right. Nothing really's going on. Check back with me in another decade.
So they allegedly are endowed with magical powers such as the spontaneous production of holographic images and the emission of weird sounds. I'm assuming it's the malfunctioning R2-D2 or something?
Yeah, like an evil R2-D2.
Yeah. Like unskulled quartz, they could be used for healing.
Unskulled quartz.
Unskulled. Many ancient cultures who saw the skull as the godhead.
It's got no indication about which ones, huh? Come on, yo, give me the information. Right. I want to know. It's a pretty lame godhead. I mean, it's just a rock.
Some kind of head, exactly.
Yeah,
just a head, really.
It's well, we got a head, so it's godhead. Oh God, is that really the explanation? The deity's got to be some kind of head.
So let me quote him here. It says, I personally feel that the crystal skulls are not only here to share ancient knowledge and wisdom, but to assist in awakening our race to higher spiritual laws and understanding of itself. They are announcing that many of the ancient tools are coming back now because the planet is ready to use them again in a harmonious way. I mean, we're clearly, our species is ready to use this. The United States just elected a reality show star, so we are very, very ready. I think
there's a lot of talk about our race.
Our race, I know. I was like, race?
The ancient tools. It's, maybe it is the right time.
Maybe it is.
This can always go. I'm always our race. I'm never fully comfortable.
I know.
When that kind of talk, like, I'm not saying Illinois here is
a
white supremacist, but it's always good to be a little hesitant.
Yeah.
When that kind of language is thrown around.
Words. Right. The crystal skulls are a tangible sign that indeed a golden age is fast approaching our world. That's weird. It's another Trump reference there.
Yeah.
Yep. So they are inwardly calling those who have worked with them in past lifetimes so they can become fully activated to help connect humanity to our inner divinity and actualization of higher universal knowledge.
So that's all great.
Yeah, it is. We could use some inner divinity, I think.
Yeah.
Druvalo Melchizedek agrees with Shapiro on his book Serpent of Light. He claimed he came across Indignious. He claimed he came across
It's your geology coming in. Oh, it's an indignious rock.
That's igneous, but that's fine either way.
I know. I know. I'm trying to make sense of the crazy stuff you just said. Don't put that on me.
So he claimed he came across an indigenous Mayan descendants at ceremonies who had crystal skulls which contain the souls of ancient Mayans. So these Mayan souls possess the skulls waiting for the time when their ancient knowledge would once again be required.
Isn't this that new Infinity War movie? Like,
yeah, I think
you
so.
the souls get caught in the Soul Stone, I think?
I think so, yeah.
So this is copyright infringement then at this point.
It is.
That movie made a ton of money.
All Marvel, yep. So this is nice, too. I mean, in our last podcast, we said human heads have souls. I think we know now that fish have souls, human heads have souls. It's pretty much just souls everywhere, really.
Yeah, souls everywhere.
But I have to wonder what this ancient knowledge is that we're all missing out on, I mean, and when is it the right time? If the time wasn't right when European settlers were causing the near extinction of Native Americans or Hitler exterminated millions of Jews, I mean, when is the right time, really? I mean...
The right time is now.
Yeah.
And the ancient wisdom is, hey, check out this paperweight.
That's exactly right. You nailed it.
That's knowledge that is universal, really.
Yeah. The time
and
is
the right
now.
time is when it's a windy day and you've got a bunch of papers on your desk.
Nocerino claimed that Mayan and amethyst skulls gave him the power to offer hours of meaningless visions. Sorry. I meant to say meaningful visions. My bad.
I
mistyped. I wrote that wrong.
A bit of commentary.
A little bit of, myself leaking in there.
Editorialization.
So Anna Mitchell-Hedges claimed her Skull of Doom, which, of course, is the most metal of all skulls, and we'll go into this later. We just keep teasing you with this metal skull.
Teasing you, the Skull of Doom. That's how good it is.
That's right. It has the power to cure visions, cure cancer, and that she once used the skull itself to kill a man.
Oh, man, just once?
Yeah, I know. Fortunately, this dead man's head was eventually used as a template for measurements to make other crystal skulls. So, but cure visions. That's a lot of people being afflicted by visions, apparently.
Yeah, I like that because usually it causes you to have visions, these kinds of magical artifacts, and this kind of turns it off because I can imagine. Once the visions start, it might be cool at first, but that's I just want to have some cereal.
Yeah, I just want to see reality. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to watch Breaking Bad for the 15th time. I don't want to have all these visions of what these Aztecs are doing in their pyramids.
Where's my Skull of Doom? Yep.
But it makes sense that you could use it to kill a man. It is the Skull of Doom.
That's true.
I mean, I would be a little disappointed.
Yeah.
If you couldn't kill a man with it.
No. Yes, exactly. So another time, Anna claimed to have used a crystal skull to see a premonition of the JFK assassination.
Ooh, recent current events.
No, and she actually did nothing to stop it. I mean, it sounds legit, but she used the crystal head to see JFK's skull shot to bits by Lee Harvey Oswald bullet. That's really weird. But
I mean, again,
strange.
It's the Skull of Doom.
Good point. Yep.
It probably made her sign a confidentiality agreement or something. I'll tell you what happens, but I'll sue you if you tell anybody.
There's nothing worse than the piles of paperwork to engage the Skull of Doom. It's just
can you imagine that? Mitchell-Hedges versus Skull? I guess it would be Mr. Doom.
Mr. Doom, yeah.
Of is his middle name.
So here we go. Where did the skulls come from?
I was wondering that. They're so magical.
Yeah. Well, once again, Josh Illinois Shapiro, he has a bunch of theories.
What are those theories, Brent Illinois Johnson?
Well, first, let's get this it's right off the bat. Aliens.
Of course.
But of the ancient variety?
I'm guessing medieval. I think it's medieval aliens, which we don't hear enough about.
We really don't. So they either brought them from Earth or taught us how to make them. That's one going thought there.
So wait a minute. So I don't like this at all right off the bat. So if they taught us how to make them and we made them, then this isn't aliens making them. I want to get some credit for the human race for making them. Just, right. I don't say that IKEA made my dresser just because they gave me the instructions. I take credit for that. I spent hours of my day screwing in bolts.
That's right.
Reading Swedish instructions. And we're just going to hand off all the credit to aliens? I think not.
So there is strong evidence for the ET link. Holographic images of UFOs and see, look at me. I want to say ancient aliens. Medieval aliens are displaying various ancient crystal skulls. So
and that is the saddest typo in all of Crystal Skull history. Are displayed various ancient crystal skulls. You would hope the aliens would, they would give us the advanced technology to make these crystal skulls, which allow us to see into the future, which were the first networked computers.
Yep.
Didn't teach us much grammar.
No.
Just
sad, really.
I make crystal skull good.
So these images have been observed by researchers and sensitives. I don't know if that's a derogatory term for sensitive people, but I don't.
Yeah, very sensitive people. You know.
You know the types.
The crybaby, libtard, safe space, snowflake, beta, cuck, SJWs, or CLSSBC SJWs for short.
Oh, God. I love how all the alt-right types bitch about the labels of different genders that people use, but in turn use all sorts of absurd labels for people they disagree with. So that's great.
None of those words are absurd. Those are actually, all very different, very well-defined distinctions.
Yes, I use them.
And I think everyone is true of me. I think I fall under. I think I'm definitely a CLSSBCSJW. I think, I identify with that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So, second, the ancient advanced civilization. So, here we go. If the crystal skulls were not brought by extraterrestrials, then certainly we must conclude there have been civilizations much more technologically or spiritually advanced than our own today.
See, this is a preposterous overconfidence in a conditional. So, Shapiro is overlooking far better theories. You got time travelers, dolphin shamans, and Mother Earth herself could have crafted these mysterious wonders. Why does it just have to be ancient advanced civilization? Just because aliens didn't?
I know. I actually really love dolphin shamans. I would totally have a dolphin as my guide on a mushroom trip. So
someone has. I mean, there's that might have to be
what am I doing in the
episode, or all the dolphin hypotheses about how smart they are. There's some people who think either greys are descended from dolphins or vice versa.
Really? I could see people thinking that, but
we gotta.
That's funny. Yeah, because they're both gray.
Yeah, they're both gray.
That's literally the only thing. They have eyes.
They both kill for sport.
Yep.
And they both love mutilating cows? I think, yeah. 3 for 3.
Don't dolphins kind of get a little rapey when they're in the water?
Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah.
And ancient aliens or greys at least are definitely intruding into people's places.
Like increased intelligence corresponds with really horrendous behavior.
Right.
It's like you have to have a certain level of intelligence to be like,
right.
You know what? I'm gonna force someone to have sex with me against their will.
Right.
Really?
Wow. Highly evolved.
Yep. Wonderful.
Jesus. All right. So we have several spiritual channels suggest the skulls were created in Atlantis or Lemuria.
I wonder what cable package will get me these spiritual channels he's talking about here.
My favorite spiritual channel is CBN, which was the Christian Broadcasting Network. Yep. I think they were the ones that they originally aired the 700 Club, the Jim Bakker Show.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Why is the 700 Club called that?
Honestly, I don't know. I know the 7 is, I thought, we all, because of the Revelations podcast. Yeah, 7's like a big deal. God loves the number 7.
Definitely.
But I don't know. Maybe, I don't know where the 100 comes from. 700. Yeah.
100%? 100% 7.
Yeah, 100% 7.
Perfect.
There you go. Jim Baker's show. I don't know if you've seen this. Delightful show airing from Branson, Missouri.
I'm pretty sure I've seen parts of it. We actually have some listeners from Branson, Missouri.
Yeah, I think I know who they are too. Yeah,
they're probably watching
at least one of them.
Jim Baker's show and then listening to our podcast.
Right, it makes sense. Or like driving to the Jim Baker show with this on their radio.
Yeah,
yep.
I could see that.
Yeah, I want to. I would like to visit them sometime. We can go to the Jim Baker show together. Let's do that. So, So anyway, I remember CBN when I was younger. There was like this lady. I don't know if she's still on there. She had giant pink hair. I'm just maybe like, wow, that's interesting. Huh. And I do remember watching them actually in my 20s every night before I went to bed. I don't know why. I didn't believe any of it, but it was weirdly comforting to fall asleep next to crazy people speaking in tongues. I don't know why that was very comforting to me. Yeah, and I met another guy that was the same way. He's like, yeah, I don't know if it's just because we grew up that way, but we definitely, even in the 20s, like, put on CBN and just kind of watch it in fascination and then pass out.
It's so deep in your psyche.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Anyway, back to the real things here.
One day you have to get like psychoanalyzed.
I know.
And then we'll just totally breach the patient, the patient doctor confidentiality and just broadcast it.
Yeah, broadcast it. We can
get all the stuff out there.
Yep. So maybe they're carved, but there were human bone skulls that were changed to crystal through the power of the mind.
See, I have a little pet peeve. Everything you do is through the power of your mind. Like that's true. Not fancy. Just because it was the power of your mind. I ate breakfast this morning. I made eggs and toast, and I did it through the power of my mind. I decided to do that, and then I did it. That is the power of my mind in action.
You're so especially like you're like you're magical, Dylan. I didn't realize it.
Maybe I am. Maybe I just don't want to accept that I am just a psychically well-evolved human.
Yeah.
I'm close to an Atlantean, if not a Lemurian.
Yeah. And well, plus we know now that your head has a soul, so it's really a mind-soul combo going on.
Oh,
there.
That's a good point.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, how there's like people who are Holocaust deniers. Like I'm a mind denier. I just don't think the mind exists, and I didn't just think of that with my mind.
So do you just think there's a soul but no mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's pretty much just souls all the way down everywhere.
Souls everywhere. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's what we've learned. So the third is the ancient advanced civilizations inside the earth.
Oh,
I don't know, like in the solid iron core.
Man, this has everything.
That's pretty badass.
I hope they're inside the solid iron core. That's where the skull of doom should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Inside the core of the earth is the skull of doom. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Greatest metal album ever.
Yes. So this is a quote from.
Oh, this is it. This is definitely Illinois.
Yeah. This is clearly Illinois. Sorry, Illinois, the entire state. So our Earth is hollow, with a small central sun at its core and openings at the poles. Gravity, which is located at the center of the Earth's crust, 800 miles thick, hold objects and people to the inner and outer surface. So the Earth is hollow, but also not hollow because a tiny sun is in the core. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hollow.
Yeah.
It could be hollow with stuff inside of it.
That's true, especially a little bitty star.
So have you ever seen those NASA pictures that a lot of these hollow Earth people use? Where basically, because like it's a picture of the Earth, but it's made out of composites.
Right.
And so it looks like there's a giant hole in the pole. And a lot of people are like, oh,
just like there's a mask on Mars. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's also, there's another hollow Earth theory where we're in the hollow Earth.
Oh, I have heard that. Yeah.
And so if you had a really powerful telescope, you could look straight up in the sky and see China.
Wow.
Basically, which is not true, but cool.
Yeah.
It's still a cool idea. I'll take it.
So what's the moon then? I guess the moon is just...
So... There's different ideas. I mean, I know there's one hollow Earth idea where basically the entire cosmos is inside the Earth.
Inside the Earth, right?
Yeah.
Man.
So the moon would be kind of like this, how the sun is on the inside.
Yeah. I just like how like flat earthers like, whoa, settle down. Like that's like a little too too advanced here.
That's the conference I want to see, the flat Earth versus the hollow Earth people.
I want to see it. There's got to be debates out there.
The different kinds of hollow Earth people.
Yes.
Like, no, there is a hollow Earth with people in its side. Like, no, we're already in the hollow Earth.
Right, yep.
And then the people who think Earth is like a hologram, get those people in the mix. Yeah, that would be a good conference.
God.
Because, yeah, because we talked about, like, the 13 crystal skulls. Isn't that related to what's inside our hollow Earth?
So, supposedly 13 master crystal skulls hold the genetic coding of 12 inner Earth tribes, and the 13th, or central skull, represents the family of these tribes. So, isn't there so there's one that doesn't get a skull?
Well, no, so there's 12 tribes.
Oh, right. With 13
And then
skulls.
those 12, there's, like, a big old family.
That's what okay, I misread that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a big old there's like many family reunions amongst the different tribes, but then they're all part of a big old thing, like a big old family reunion. And that's the 13th skull.
Okay, got it.
Is the big old one.
Right. So the fourth is Australia.
Australia.
Mate. Yeah.
Like, we have, Atlanteans, we have aliens, we have Hollow Earth, and then, maybe they're just from Australia.
Yep. So when I was in Australia last year, I had a strong feeling that the Aborigines might have in their possession a crystal skull. Only time will tell.
Only time will tell about the Australian. They probably got the 13th one.
They probably do. Yep. They're
hoarding it from all of us.
A strong feeling about it, So it's like
a strong feeling. I wonder how you get that feeling. Like, because that's a very particular feeling to have.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, I met my landlord the other day. I had a very strong feeling that she wore plaid every other Tuesday. I just had the feeling.
It's there, yeah. Strong. And it was strong.
And I'm going with it. I'm going to write an entire website about it.
All right.
All right. We've been teasing you long enough.
Too much. It's time
Probably
to finally...
the most famous of the crystal skulls is the Mike and Anna Mitchell-Hedges crystal skull, otherwise known as the Skull of Doom. So where did this thing come from?
So the whole mythology surrounding the extraterrestrial, extra-powerful origins of crystal skulls was likely created by F.A. Mike Mitchell-Hedges.
There's a lot of nicknames in this.
Like, why can't they just have their names? That's just diagnostic of a crystal skull guy. Is like, oh, he's got a name there that just in quotes right there.
Yeah,
Mike.
And Mike isn't. None of his names are Michael. He just was like, I'm going to go by Mike.
That's right. And he his time of life was 1882 to 1959.
The good years.
Yeah, so mark that down. And
that's what we're going to make America like again. That's when we were great.
The best times. And his
it was
Anna.
The best of times. It was the best of times.
Yeah,
just the best of times
all around. So his Anna, which was his adopted daughter. So that's true. So here's a little known fact: the FA in Mike's name actually stands for fucking asshole. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I don't know what it stands for, actually. Do you?
It's Frederick Albert.
Oh,
yeah. I don't want us to get sued. I don't know what.
Probably smart. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Clarify that was a joke.
What the slander libel laws are, because if I knew, so if I didn't say anything, it's probably malicious. So Frederick Albert Michael Mitchell-Hedges.
Oh my God! And Michael's in quotes.
And, yeah. Actually, I'm sorry. It's Mike. Excuse me. I don't know where the Mike came from. It's a lot like how we don't really know where the Skull of Doom came from. We don't know where the mic came from. So I guess it's an appropriate name.
Should we drop the mic or just keep it? Sorry. Oh, boy. All right. So the story goes that Anna discovered the skull while hanging out with her dad in the ancient Mayan city of Labatun in Belize.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think it sounds right.
So yeah, Dad Mitchell-Hedges thought he was going to find the ruins of Atlantis. Which, isn't that shit supposed to be in the Atlantic Ocean? I thought that's why it was called Atlantis.
Whoa. There you go, using your mind again.
Oh, that's my... Well, I didn't use my mind. I used my soul.
That's right.
Also, can you imagine, looking for one goofy thing only to find a totally different goofy thing? What a weird... It's like, I am looking
things all the way down.
Yeah, I'm looking for, a crashed UFO, and I find Bigfoot. What a weird... What are the odds of that?
Like if Bigfoot Hunters, the show, like ran into a crystal skull. Like, whoa, this is not what we expected.
Twist.
Yep. Never found Bigfoot. I like how the show ended. The show, by the way, I think it just ended.
Oh, so they found Bigfoot.
They never found him.
Oh, they didn't.
Imagine that.
Man.
I know. So anyway, the skull was 5.25 inches long. Well, not long, high, and weighs about 11 pounds. Dear God.
Ooh, 11 pounds.
11 pounds. So, on the heavy side. So it resembled an Aztec stone skulls, but was realistic and even included a detachable jaw.
So I assume it was some kind of it was the first alien/Atlantean hand puppet, I guess, with the detachable jaw.
Right, yep.
You just stick your hand in there. Hey, buddies. Hey, want to know the secrets of the cosmos?
And I wonder if any crystal skulls in these new age shops are ever just missing a jaw, and you can find them in the discount bin, to mark down.
I think it's kind of like how some stores where they sell Tupperwares and there's a separate section for the tops and the bottoms.
Right.
I think it's like that where there's a pile of crystal skull heads and then a pile of jaws, and you gotta put them together yourself.
Yeah. So what's his name? Mitchell-Hedges? Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I've been calling him Papa MH.
Yeah, I like that. Papa MH is the one who gives us the real fun details here. So here we go. Skull of Doom is made of pure rock crystal, and according to scientists, it must have taken over 150 years, and generation after generation, working all the days of their lives, patiently rubbing down with sand an immense block of rock crystal until finally the perfect skull emerged.
All the days of their lives.
Days of their lives.
So the baby pops out of the womb.
Yep.
And you're
right off the bat
sticking sand in his hands and
yep.
Get to work, baby.
Yeah. Do I have time to cut the umbilical cord? No. Get there and get working.
No, he better just disintegrate. Or you got to use some sand and rub it on the umbilical cord until it disintegrates.
Yep. And the mother's going to be working on the skull while giving birth. So that's
of course.
Yeah. We don't want to waste any time.
No.
All the days of their lives. So anyway, here's more of the quote here. It is at least 3,600 years old, and according to legend, was used by the high priest of the Maya when performing esoteric rites. So it is said that when he willed death with the help of the skull, death invariably followed. It has been described as the embodiment of all evil.
Fucking awesome.
Fucking badass.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
It's way cooler than all these other, it's a computer. No, it's a death machine. That's what I want from something called the Skull of Doom.
So, it's cool, but maybe it's not true. I don't know.
Oh, what?
I know. Sorry.
Oh, but why on earth would we think that?
I don't know. So the first interesting tidbit is that Papa MH didn't talk about the crystal skull until 1943.
1940, that's kind of weird because that's about 20 years after he found it in Belize. I wonder why he waited so long. Was it, maybe fear of government, or maybe it was thieves? I wonder why.
I don't know. Maybe it was a crystal skull cult. They aren't screwing around. They want that crystal skull with detachable jaw. It's pretty unique in the world of crystal skullography.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, okay. Crystal skull cult is clearly why. Is there another explanation for why?
That's just when he bought it at a Sotheby's sale for £400.
Oh, so it was all a lie.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
So what is it? You wrote here 4,300 pounds today, or 5,600 Americans.
Yep.
That's quite the expensive hand puppet, as you say.
Yeah, it's an expensive hand puppet.
I think it is.
Dang, $5,600. You could just have bought a sock.
Yeah.
That could also be a hand puppet.
Lamb chop. Exactly. Mr. Rogers is not paying, no freaking $5,600 for a puppet.
Yeah, Daniel Striped Tiger was not made out of rock crystal.
Mm-hmm. The man Mitchell-Hedges bought it from, Sidney Burney, as well as those on the Louboutin expedition, deny that he found it there. So, and Anna wasn't even there.
Oh, man, this whole story is just falling apart.
It is. It's right before our eyes.
So, obviously, Mitchell-Hedges is, lying through his teeth.
Yeah.
And so, but this has to be the greatest recovery lie of all time. So, Anna has to deal with this, because Anna kind of, takes up the Skull of Doom storyline.
Right.
And so this is what really happened. So, Anna and her father, they really did find the skull, and Lou Banton. But Mitchell-Hedges either owed Sidney Burney some money, or he was just like, I'm going on some travels. Can you keep this crystal skull safe while I go to find Atlantis in the Middle East or wherever he was going? And so he loaned him the skull until then. So in this storyline, it's basically like a pawn shop where, he had to pawn off his crystal skull. The skull of doom, in which he could use to kill a man, by the way.
Jesus. Right.
Instead, he had a loan, and so he just pawned it to pay for a loan. And so either he pawned it, or he just gave the skull to Bernie for safekeeping. Okay, so that's why Bernie had the skull. But then why did Bernie sell it in an auction, and then Mitchell-Hedges had to buy it from the auction?
Yeah.
So, Anna explains the whole mishap. So after leaving the crystal skull in Bernie's care, Bernie inexplicably put the skull up for auction, which is really throwing Bernie under the bus to keep this lie going. And it's also it's the worst lie of all time. Inexplicably means it literally cannot be explained. So, what's the story here? Bernie, he blacked out after a bender and woke up with an auction receipt? Is that the story?
I mean, I once woke up, the morning after being blackout drunk wearing a Snuggie, so I guess anything can happen. What?
I do.
Why am I wearing this? And who owns that?
I remember your Snuggie.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it looked like a blanket. I guess I just put it on. I mean, at least it was functional. I somehow figured out how to put my arms through the sleeves and stuff. That's good, I guess. But
yeah, you got it working. It did something for you. Okay, so now it's inexplicably the crystal skull's on auction. Mitchell-Hedges learns the day before the auction and was so furious that for a while he was unable to speak. And again, for a while, I mean, we got 24 hours until the skull goes on auction. Give me some details.
Too fast, too furious to speak.
Too fast, too furious to speak. Exactly. Great movie about the crystal skull.
Excellent franchise. Yep.
So Mitchell-Hedges, he couldn't get a hold of Bernie, and so he opted to wake up at 5 a.m. the next morning to get his skull back. So again, I feel real bad for Bernie here. Yeah. So first, Anna claims that he put up the crystal skull for auction, a skull put under his safekeeping. Further, this action was inexplicable, like it was not just a dickhead move, but a miraculously dickheaded move. And then he never tells Mitchell-Hedges, and he can't get a hold of him. Fuck me!
It's like a Coen brother movie. It was just
it would be a good Coen brothers movie.
Yeah.
So Mitchell-Hedges eventually finds out that it was Bernie's son who sold the skull. So at least Papa Bernie's getting some vindication here.
Right.
Now, Mitchell-Hedges goes to the Sotheby's people, and they're like, we're not giving you your skull back. The son, put it up for auction. As far as we know, it's perfectly legitimate. And, I kind of get that. I imagine, if I was selling something on Craigslist, and then someone came to me demanding that I return it because they found it in Belize, I'd be like, yeah, I just don't believe you on that.
Right.
And so Mitchell-Hedges was just like, whatever, the easiest way to deal with this and to get my precious crystal skull back, the crystal skull that, again, can murder people, I'm just going to buy it on the auction block. And that's Mitchell-Hedges' very convoluted lie.
Yeah,
to explain
extreme convoluted. Yeah,
this Sotheby's 1943 purchase of the crystal skull. Is this really the simplest way? I imagine there were courts of law back then. Sue that motherfucker. He let your son inexplicably sell your shit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of impressed with this lie, I have to admit.
Yeah.
It's insane.
But it's so intense.
But it does the job.
Yeah, it does.
That the lie is supposed to do. I'm kind of impressed.
So in 1970, Anna let Frank Dorland, a crystal carver, examine her skull. Not like her actual skull. I just want to make
her crystal skull.
Not like Anna's skull.
Good clarification.
I
was confused for a second. Why is he looking at her skull?
Dorland declared that it is excellent for scrying. It emits sounds and light, depending on the position of the planets. Obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. And he claimed that the skull originated in Atlantis and was carried around by the Knights Templar during the Crusades. That's a new one.
Oh, that is. I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no clarification on why.
It's just, let's just throw in everything. This has, it was made by aliens who came to Atlantis, and then the Rosicrucians had it.
Yep.
Because it's part of the bloodline of Jesus.
The original Holy Grail, probably. But
it's the original. Yeah. It's the cup that the Holy Grail was in. You open the jaw, and that's where all the blood is. I don't know.
And she found all this out just looking at the crystal skull. That's a hell of a crystal carver. I mean...
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess because he found out it was excellent for scrying.
Right.
And then he was able to scry the rest of the information.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Once you get the scrying, everything else is pretty easy.
It's hard to get that scrying down, though. It really is. Yeah.
That's true.
So Dorland even claimed to have the crystal skull examined at a Hewlett-Packard lab. What the lab found was truly remarkable.
The Hewlett-Packard lab. I don't mean to cast aspersions on any Hewlett-Packard labs, but it just seems really... He took it to an Apple store.
Right.
And this is what the Genius Bar had to say about it.
Seriously. So Best Buy said, no. Yeah, so... Okay, so the skull had been carved against the natural axis of the crystal. Modern crystal sculptors always take into account the axis or orientation of the crystal's molecular symmetry, because if they carve against the grain, the piece is bound to shatter, even with the use of lasers and other high-tech cutting methods. I mean, whatever, I was going for a shattered crystal skull look. You don't know shit, fucking people. Come on. People work in labs,
people love it's like ripped jeans. It's the ripped jeans of the crystal
cool
carving world.
Yeah. To compound the strangeness, HP could find no microscopic scratches on the crystal, which would indicate it had been carved with metal instruments. So Dorland's best hypothesis for the skull's construction is that it was roughly hewn out with diamonds, and then the detail work was meticulously done with a gentle solution of silicon, sand, and water. So the exhausting job, assuming it could possibly be done in this way, would have required man-hours adding up to 300 years to complete.
300 years
people. Yep.
Of man-hours, by the way,
That's
so
right.
no women involved.
That's right, come on.
Their hands aren't gentle enough
Right.
for this kind of thing. So imagine, okay, you're an Aztec stone carver. You're making some kick-ass stone skulls. Really cool looking. People hundreds of years from now are going to be real into them. But then you're called to a higher calling. Your boss tells you that you have a new project, a fancy crystal skull that is now 100 years in the making. He gives you a bucket of sand water and tells you to start scrubbing. Oh, and this damn thing won't be done for another 200 years. Happy carving.
But, sir, how am I supposed to keep up with the workload when ancient aliens keep taking our jobs?
They can make these damn things in 15 seconds. I'm sitting around here scrubbing it with sand water.
I know.
You know, all I'm saying is you'd be real jealous of the guys who got to do the diamond part at least. You know, they're just carving out hunks of crystal. All right, got one hunk down. Let's do the next one.
I'm pretty sure at this point, too, your hands are just bloody nubs. Just the first blood diamonds, I guess.
Oh, yeah, the first blood diamonds. Literally.
I've been working for 200 years here. So Frank Dorland went on to write the book, Crystal Healing, The Next Step. So what's the first step? Did I miss something?
The first step is you use the diamonds to carve out the rough hunks of crystal.
I need to work on my scrying. I saw it differently, and now I know. So, okay, the crystal stimulates an unknown part of the brain, opening a psychic door to the absolute.
It certainly isn't stimulating the frontal lobe. I think that's quite understimulated in all these conversations.
That's true. So Dorland's claims were also the basis of Richard Garvin's 1973 book, The Crystal Skull, the story of the mystery, myth, and magic of the Mitchell-Hedges crystal skull discovered in a lost Mayan city during a search for Atlantis.
Good title.
Yeah, little known fact again, that you don't actually need to read this book. You can get all the information you need just from the excessively long subtitle.
Yeah, back in the day, subtitles were the only TLDR we could get. There were no Spark Notes back then, so you had to put it all in a subtitle.
And plus, I don't know if he's talking about the right guy. Like, is this Mitchell-Hedges? Or is this, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Is this fucking asshole Mitchell-Hedges, or is it Frederick Albert Mitchell-Hedges?
He's not an asshole.
There's no way to know. No way to know.
So, that's all the Crystal Skull. All of them. All 13.
All 13 minus a few.
So, anyway, where are we at here? This is the conclusion. There's not, just keeping it real, I guess, there's not really any evidence that these crystal skulls are mysterious or have magical powers.
It's too bad, too.
I had to say that. And FA does not stand for fucking asshole.
Yeah, so that's for legal reasons, that's an important way to conclude.
Right. Probably a nice guy.
Maybe. He might be a nice guy.
Maybe.
I'm not going to say probably.
Right.
I don't know the man.
Exactly. And still important and relevant, apparently, though, for Crystal Skulls. I guess it's still happening, especially for fans of the worst Indiana Jones movie of all time. Though I can't say that definitively because I didn't see it. Let's just say I have a strong feeling about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just like the strong feeling that the Aborigines of Australia have a crystal skull.
The exact same kind. Yep.
I think I also share that feeling.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
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 Nor do you intend to, probably.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not gonna do it.
Nope. One of our friends, we talked about it the other day, and he said it was horrible. Mentioned a couple parts on it about Indiana Jones jumping into a refrigerator to avoid getting blown up by a atomic bomb. So that happens apparently. You can just jump.
That's a very
in a
1950s approach, because I remember hiding under the desk.
Right.
Was going to save you from nuclear winter. So that sounds right. And so that's it. So Brent, what did you learn about the Crystal Skull? What fascinated you?
I do think that it would be fun to make some sort of a comedy in the vein of a Coen brother movie of the entire lie of just the madness of that whole story there from whatever her name is. I forgot her name. Dana?
Anna.
Anna. So that I learned a lot of Mayan stuff going on. A lot of very, very it's good to see the Mayans coming back in my life again, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, that's good. It's
what about?
They're often fetishized.
Right.
We love putting our goofy ideas on them.
Yeah, and I've heard I mean the actual Mayan calendar I don't know much about, but it really is pretty insane. Like it's so much complexity and craziness.
They loved keeping track of shit.
Sure, we're obsessed with it. Yeah. They were basically the enemy of the what were the people in the Bible that are not supposed to be the keepers of time or something?
Oh yeah, the observers of the time or something like that. Yeah, they were definitely they were observant sometimes.
Yeah. They were
absolutely.
Really keeping time. What about you, Dylan? Did you find anything stick out to you?
So, I mean, the Inner Earth stuff is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love I didn't realize how many different theories they threw at this. And I love the Lemuria stuff.
Yeah.
Which I love Lemuria. It's like the hipster Atlantis.
Yeah.
And so that's it. And so just a reminder that you can contact us in various amounts of ways. So we are on Instagram at None Dare Call It Ordinary. You can also reach us on email at nonedarecallitordinary@gmail.com. And I'm also on Reddit as None Dare Call Ordinary, so you can send me a message there, or check out some of the questions I answer on Ask Philosophy. That's normally what I'm doing on there. And also, if you can, rate and review us on iTunes or SoundCloud or Stitcher or whatever podcast app you use. That would help us out greatly, I think. That's my assumption. Yeah. And it would help out our egos, too. And so I think for that alone, we would be very, very thankful. Also, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this. We also have a website. It's very boring, but it is there. It's nonedarecallitordinary.com. And it mostly just has our links to our, where you can find us, our podcast. But you already know that because you're listening to this right now. But, if you feel like telling other people about that, go ahead. We might add more to that as time goes on. And if there's something in particular you would like to have on our website or our Instagram or anything else, really, just, send us out an email. That's the most best way to reach us. Yeah. And again, that is nonedarecallitordinary.com. And with that, we are...
Here we go.
Crystal Skulls!
Scry guy.
What?
I said scry guy.
Scry!